Hi Year 4. This week we're going to be looking at multiplication and division. Multiplication and division have a special relationship like addition and subtraction did last week in that they are inverse operations. That means that when we know our multiplication knowledge, we can use division to check our answers, and when we have a division question, we can use multiplication to check our answers. Okay, so before we begin, I just wanted to review the symbols for multiplication and division. So this symbol here is the symbol for multiplication. Okay, and this symbol here is the symbol for division. Today we're going to be doing a lesson on arrays. Okay, you have been doing using arrays since kindergarten. Arrays use little dots like this, whether you draw them. Today I will use magnetic dots, and they help us to show some multiplication and division solutions. Okay, so firstly I'm going to give you the example of 5 times 3. Okay, so we're going to work out 5 times 3 using a dot array today. Okay, so if you remember from term 1, the first number that we see here represents how many dots we are having per column. Okay, so I'm going to show you on the board here, 5 dots down makes 1 column. Okay, now our second number, 3, represents how many rows that we have, so how many dots we have going across. Now remember to include that first dot in that row, okay? Don't do 3 extras, otherwise you'll have 4 in that row. Okay, so I'll do 2 and 3, and then to finish your array you need to fill in your columns or your rows. Okay, so I will fill that in quickly for you. It's really important in this week's maths lesson that you do understand the difference between columns and rows. Okay, so just like when we're sitting on the floor in rows, okay, usually we're counting our rows going across the room. Okay, so that's how I like to remember rows. And then columns, like a column outside supporting a roof, they go from the roof down. So they are our columns. So here you can see that we have 5 rows of 3. Okay, or we have 3 columns of 5. Okay, so that is how we can flip our multiplication around. 5 times 3, and we'll get the answer in a second, or it could be 3 times 5. Our array is just going to look a little bit differently. Okay, now to get the total answer, what we have to do is we can use our 5 times tables and do 5, 10, 15. We can use our 3 times tables and do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Or if we're not sure of our 3s and 5s, we can individually count up the dots, okay? And you will get 15. So your answer goes after the equal sign there. Okay, now as I said before, if you wrote 3 times 5, your answer is still going to be 15. So we'd use the exact same amount of dots. But if you wanted to show your array correctly, you would have 3 dots down, like this. And then you'd have your 5 dots going across. Okay, so I'm still using these same 15 dots. Answer doesn't change, just your array will look a little bit differently. Oops. Okay, and in a moment I'm going to show you how we can use this array to show our division as well, our inverse operation. Okay, so there we have it, the same answer, same total number of dots. It's just that they look a little bit differently. Okay, this array here looked like it went down more vertically. This one looks like it goes across a little bit more horizontally. Answer still stays the same when you add up those dots. Okay, now let's have a look at how we can use this array to show division. Okay, so with a division, you start with your answer, your total amount that you have. Okay, I often like to call these little dots lollies, for example. Okay, so you have 15 lollies. You start with your total amount. Okay, now you can divide this in 2 different ways. Okay, so you can do 15 divided by, and remember we're just going to use these numbers here, okay, in a different order. 15 divided by, let's do 3 first. Okay, now hopefully you have worked out what your answer will be. Okay, but I'm going to show you, using my array here, how you would actually demonstrate that. So I've got 15 altogether. I want to divide it by or share it with 3 people. So have a look at how you might split that array up into 3 groups. Okay, the easiest way I can see 3 groups is there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Now I have shown that 15 is divided by 3. Now I just have to count up how many dots each person will get. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you can see there that I've used the same numbers. 3 times 5 equals 15. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Now there is another way that you can also do it. 15 divided by 5. Now let's see if you can already guess what that number is going to be. Okay, I'll just get a different texter. Let's show how we can do 15 dots divided by 5. So I'll find 5 equal groups. It's very important that they're equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And count up how many of those dots are in each group. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 dots in each group there. Okay, so that is how we can show the inverse relationship for multiplication and division using an arrays. Okay, it goes exactly the same for numbers that are higher. Often arrays are a good strategy to use for your multiplication and division for like your 1s, 2s, 3, 4, and 5 times tables. As you get a little bit higher, like your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, you're going to have to use more dots because your answer will obviously be higher. Like 8 times 9, your answer is going to be quite high. So make sure you use this strategy for more of your smaller multiplication. Okay, I will go through other strategies this week where we look at what we can use for larger multiplication sums. Thanks, Year 4.